Very good morning, students. Today we are beginning a new course, and that is Rank Booster course of Zoology for NEET or AIIMS. Now basically, as I have already discussed in my orientation video, the purpose of this course is to discuss some very important and some very confusing topics, some little complicated topics which we have already discussed, of course, in perfect theory in English, in NEET year long, in which we have studied the theory in mixed language. But here we will be focusing just on those topics so that you can just boost up your rank. Alright, so we are beginning with the first chapter of NCERT 11th, that is Animal Kingdom, which is chapter number 4, and of course we will also be discussing a little part of chapter 2, which includes Protozoa. Now in Animal Kingdom, in this particular chapter, what I have done is I have taken all the diagrams of NCERT, all the tables, charts of NCERT, and we will be discussing them only. But as we will go on to the coming chapters, we will be discussing the most important, the most complicated topics, and we'll try to get them clear once and for all, so that even those 1 or 2 questions do not go miss and we boost our ranks. Alright, so let's begin with Animal Kingdom today. Now, this is the diagram in chapter number 2 of NCERT, and it is a euglena. Now, we know I'll be discussing only the most important points about euglena. Euglena belongs to euglenoids. They belong to Protista kingdom, so they are unicellular eukaryotes. Now, they do not have cell wall, they have plasma membrane, but the outermost covering, this is a protein, flexible protein rich pellicle. Since it is eukaryote, it will have all the cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi. But students, what is most important about euglena is that it is a connecting link between plants and animals. Now why? Because it has chloroplast, which has chlorophyll like higher plants, chlorophyll A and B. So during sunlight it can perform photosynthesis, it can make its own food, it is autotrophic, it produces paramylon, stores the food as paramylon starch, which is a derivative of starch. But during night time or in darkness, it behaves like animals. It predates on other organisms. So it is acting like plant autotrophic, it is acting like animals heterotrophic, holozoic, saprozoic. So basically it's a connecting link between plant and animals, showing characters of both. Alright, now this is not NCERT diagram, this is only for your reference. Now since it is belonging, since we are reading it in zoology, because it shows animal-like characters, so it shows movement, locomotion. It has 2 flagella, the short and long, and the long flagellum is responsible for locomotion. Next, it has chloroplast filled with chlorophyll A and B like higher plants. It has all the other cell organelles as well. The stored food is in the form of paramylon starch. Because it has to perform photosynthesis, it has light sensitive organelle which is called stigma or eye spot. Now, it is a fresh water organism, and when an organism lives in fresh water, lot of water comes inside the body, and if there is no mechanism to remove that excess water, then the organism can swell and burst. So, for that regulation of water balance, the freshwater protozoa as well as euglenoids have contractile vacuole as osmoregulatory organelle. These are the most important points. Alright, it will have a nucleus, well defined because it is eukaryotic. It divides by longitudinal binary fission. Alright, so now let's move on to the next diagram. This is also from chapter 2, and this is a paramecium, a ciliated protozoa. Now we know, students, that protozoa are classified on the basis of locomotory organelle: ciliated, flagellated, amoeboid, which moves by pseudopodia, and sporozoans, which are all endoparasites having no locomotory organelle. This is paramecium or slipper animalcule belonging to ciliated protozoa class. Now, in paramecium, it is holotrichous cilia all over. Now, what are the special characters of Ciliata class, students? Number 1, they have a permanent mouth-like structure called cytostome, and they have a permanent anus-like structure called cytopike. Now, they have bottle-shaped organelles just below their plasma membrane, and these are called trichocyst. They are organs of defense and offense and for anchorage. Very, very important. Their outermost covering is also protein flexible rich, that is pellicle. They are filter feeders. They will have all the cell organelles also. But all the protozoa are only holozoic. They do not show any autotrophic mode of nutrition, so they will not have any chloroplast, chlorophyll, etc. Now, one of the other major characters of this Ciliata class is that they show dimorphonuclear condition. That means they have two types of nucleus. One is macronucleus, one is micronucleus. Now this is the diagram. This is not from NCERT. So see, these are the trichocysts I was talking about. They have anal pore, that is cytopike. Then they have a mouth, gullet, that is cytostome. They have two types of nucleus, macro, larger nucleus, micro, smaller nucleus. Macronucleus is responsible for metabolism and micronucleus is responsible for heredity and genetics. Normally in all other animals, they just have one type of nucleus which performs both these functions, but here they are different. So macro, metabolism, micro is for genetics and heredity, alright. And of course, if that protozoa is freshwater, then they will have contractile vacuole, and since Paramecium is a free living freshwater organism, it also has contractile vacuole. Alright, now let's move on to the next. Now we are coming to chapter number 4, Animal Kingdom, and lot of questions comes on the 7 characters with which we have divided the animal kingdom into 11 phyla. The first character is, what is the type of, what should I say, body organization? What is the level of organization? Cellular level is Porifera, tissue level is Coelenterata and Ctenophora, organ level is Platyhelminthes, and from Aschelminthes to Chordata, all are organ system level. Please listen carefully, each and every word I am saying is a question. Acellular level is Protozoa because they are unicellular, alright. Then, so first is level of organization. Next character is body plan. Body plan, like in Porifera, which have cellular level of organization, their body consists of multiple cells, not differentiated into tissues, but some division of labor is seen. This is called cell aggregate body plan. The next body plan is blind sac body plan, in which there is a single opening which is acting as mouth also and anus also. Blind sac body plan is seen in those animals which have tissue level and organ level. That means Coelenterata, Ctenophora and Platyhelminthes. And next is tube within tube. All those who have organ system level have tube within tube body plan. That means they have 2 separate openings, one acting as mouth and one acting as anus. Aschelminthes to Chordata. If mouth develops first from blastopore, they are called protostomata, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusca. And if anus develop first, they are called deuterostomes, that is Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. Alright. Now, the third character is about their symmetry. Symmetry means how many planes can divide the animal into 2 equal halves. Like you can see here, this is radial symmetry. Like you take a ball, you cut from any plane, it will be divided into 2 equal parts. This is radial symmetry, very, very important. It is seen in coelentrates and adult echinoderms. Ctenophora show biradial symmetry, a modification of radial symmetry. They can be divided into 2 equal halves by 2 planes. So if for Ctenophora they ask you the question and in the option biradial is given, that is the first choice. But if biradial is not given, you can take radial symmetry. The other type of symmetry is bilateral symmetry. In this, an animal can be divided into 2 equal halves only by 1 plane of division. For example, us. You cut us like this, we will not have 2 equal parts. You cut like this, then we will have 2 equal parts, one right and one left half. So bilateral is exhibited by all others except the ones which are exhibiting radial. Porifera are mostly asymmetrical. So basically, right from Platyhelminthes to Chordata, all show this except adult echinoderms. Students, it's very important. Adult echinoderms show radial symmetry, whereas the larva of echinoderms show bilateral symmetry. This is called secondary adaptation. Secondarily, they were not always radially symmetrical. They were bilaterally symmetrical in larval stage, the echinoderms, but secondarily they became radial symmetrical when they became adults. Alright? Now, the next character is about their segmentation or metamerization. That means how many parts are serially repeated. Students, true segmentation means both internal as well as external segmentation is seen in Annelida, only external in Arthropoda and only internal in Chordata. Platyhelminthes show pseudo false segmentation because the segments are not from the embryo level. They arise later in life and they keep on shedding them. Now, fifth is whether they are diploblastic or triploblastic. That means how many germ layers do they have. Now, the question of germ layers comes whenever a tissue, minimum a tissue is formed. So, Porifera will not have diploblastic or triploblastic. No, it cannot have. It is just an aggregate of cell. From Coelenterata, you can find out how many cell layers are there. So, in Coelenterata and Ctenophora, they have just two germ layers, ectoderm and endoderm. They do not have mesoderm, so they are diploblastic too. You can see here, this is the body wall, this is the gut wall, this is the gut lumen. Gut is surrounded by endoderm, body wall has ectodermal layer. In between there is a jelly-like layer, mesogilia. It is not cellular layer. So they have two germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, Coelenterates, ctenophores. Whereas from Platyhelminthes, three germ layers are there. Ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm also develops. So you can see here, ectoderm and in between is mesoderm. This is cellular. Mesogilia is not cellular. So from Platyhelminthes to Chordata are triploblastic. Now, the next character is whether they have body cavity or not. Now, what is a true body cavity or coelom? It is a space between endoderm and ectoderm which is bound by mesoderm on both sides. So, what is the criteria that there should be mesoderm on both sides? So, this term is applicable only in those animals which have at least mesoderm. They should have mesoderm only, then you can say whether some cavity is bound by mesoderm or not. So, this terminology is used only for triploblastic animals which starts from Platyhelminthes. Now, what happens in Platyhelminthes? Let's see. This Platyhelminthes. They have ectoderm, they have endoderm and they have completely filling mesodermal cells. There is no cavity formation. There is a chance of formation because they have mesoderm, but there is no coelom formed. So, they are acoelomate. Platyhelminthes are acoelomates. Now, what happens in roundworms, Aschelminthes? This is ectoderm, this is endoderm, but mesoderm starts splitting. So, it does not form a complete cavity, but it forms pouches, scattered pouches lined by mesoderm. This is false body cavity or pseudocoelom, roundworms. And from Annelida to Chordata, they have a true coelom. You can see here, this is endoderm, this is ectoderm, this is the cavity which is lined by mesoderm on both sides. From Annelida to Chordata. Now, out of these, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, in them, the cavity is formed by splitting of mesoderm, so they are called schizocoelomate. Whereas in Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata, which are deuterostomes, there the cavity is formed by evagination of gut wall, so they are enterocoelomate. So, whether schizocoelomate or enterocoelomate, they both have true body cavity. Alright. Now, apart from this, Platyhelminthes also have, they have blind sac body plan, they also have incomplete alimentary canal, whereas all which have organ system level, which have tube within tube, they have complete alimentary canal with separate mouth and separate anus. Now, the last character is whether there is a notochord or not. Notochord is a mesodermally derived structure. It is found like a rod in the dorsal surface of embryo and it provides them support. This notochord, if present, the phylum is Chordata, and if not present, from Porifera to Hemichordata, all are non-chordates. So presence or absence of notochord, it is mesodermally derived. Very, very important. These 7 characters. Now this is the NCERT flow chart. Very, very important. See, animals are multicellular. On the basis of level of organization, they can be cellular or tissue, organ system. Cellular level means porifera, cell aggregate body plan. You cannot say whether they have germ layers or whether they have body cavity, nothing. Now, they are asymmetrical mostly. Now, if we go here, radial and bilateral. Radial are Coelenterata, Ctenophora and adult echinoderms also, and actually Ctenophora is biradial. In bilateral, if they do not have a body cavity, Platyhelminthes, if they have false, Aschelminthes, and if they have true, Annelida to Chordata, and these 3 have Schizocoelom and these 3 have Enterocoelom type of true body cavity. This is NCERT diagram, very, very important. I have drawn it in a bigger way. Metazoa means multicellular animals. They can be parazoa, that is porifera, cell aggregate body plan, cell level organization, asymmetrical body, porifera. Or they can be true. True ones means they have tissue, organ or organ system level of organization. On the basis of body symmetry and germ layers, they can be radiata or bilateria. Radiata means Coelenterata, Ctenophora. Of course, adult echinoderm is an exception. They have tissue level, they are diploblastic, radial or biradial symmetry. And all these have triploblastic, bilateral symmetry. Platyhelminthes have organ level, all others have organ system level. Now, whether in this, now we will classify this further, whether like Platyhelminthes have blind sac, but all others have tube within tube. So whether mouth is formed first or whether anus is formed first, they can be divided into protostomata and deuterostomata. Protostomata means mouth is formed first, they show spiral cleavage, whereas deutero means they have anus develop first, they have radial or bilateral cleavage. Cleavage we will discuss in human reproduction. Now, they can have 3 types of body, like Platyhelminthes have no body cavity acoelomates, Aschelminthes have pseudocoelomates, and Schizocoelomates, true body cavity, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca. They all are protostomata as well as Schizocoelomata. Whereas these deuterostomata, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata, they all have enterocoelom type of body cavity. Out of this, Chordata shows internal segmentation, Arthropoda shows external segmentation, Annelida shows both external internal. Now, it's very important flowchart. They will ask you from which phylum organ system level started. Aschelminthes. From which system tube within tube plan started? Again, Aschelminthes. From which complete alimentary canal started? Again this. Which is acoelomate? Which is pseudocoelomate? Which is schizocoelomate? Which is enterocoelomate? Like this questions are asked. Very, very important. Right? Like annelids possess. Cell aggregate, no, this is seen in sponges. Blind sac, no, blind sac is seen in Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes. Tube within tube, yes. So answer is option C. This is how. This is just an example I am giving you, but this flowchart is extremely important. Diploblastic animals differ from triploblastic by absence of which germ layer? Diploblastic do not have mesoderm. Suppose if I change the question, diploblastic differs from triploblastic by presence of which layer? Not germ layer, but which layer? Then the answer would be mesogilia. So wherever there is this presence and absence, you have to be very, very clear whether they are asking presence or absence. So diploblastic do not have mesoderm. Now flatworms are Platyhelminthes and they are acoelomates. This is roundworms, this is Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, this is Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata. So like this they ask you the questions. Alright. Now, animals which are triploblastic. Now, in such questions, how you have to solve, we have practiced enough in concept booster problem solving course. The first word given is which are triploblastic. Don't read the whole question, just see the options. Now, here, unluckily, all are triploblastic. So, this is not working for us. With tube within tube, now we know this has blind sac body plan, so this cannot be the answer. You have excluded one. Now, see the next one. Blastopore forms anus, that means deuterostome, this, because these two, mouth is formed first. So this is how you solve the question. Here we have to read the whole question. But sometimes, you know, even with just one, suppose they are asking animals which are triploblastic, and the other three options are, let's say, Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora. Your answer is already solved. You don't have to see the other part of the question. So, you know, it is very important, the approach that you have in solving the question, which we have practiced enough in Concept Booster course. Now, match the column. I've trained you enough. We will always go by the options. You just have to focus on pseudocoelomates. A can be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Pseudocoelomates means absence of mesoderm. No. Absence of mesoderm means diploblastic. Annelida, no. Annelida are schizocoelom, true coelom. Porifera, no. There is no question of having coelom. So, pseudocoelomates are Ascalmenthes. Your question is solved without even reading option B, C and D. Now, you can cross check. Asymmetrical Porifera, segmentation Annelida, and diploblastic, no mesoderm. So, this is the beauty of using the correct approach. So, we have to train our mind accordingly. Now, we are going to read all the phylums, the important salient features very quickly, because I don't want to waste your time. You don't have that much time left now. This is the diagram for Porifera phylum, which are called sponges, mostly asymmetrical, mostly marine, but they have freshwater forms like Spongilla. So, first you should be able to identify the diagrams, because nowadays many diagram based questions are coming. So, you should be very, very careful and you must know the labeling. Now, in Porifera, the two main characters are, number one, they have a water canal system or transport system. They have many lateral pores, ostia, through which water comes into a single cavity called spongocoel, which is lined by choanocytes. These are flagellated collared cells, very, very important. And through this water, oxygen, nutrition, everything is coming, and then through a single terminal osculum, this is thrown out of the body. So, the waste material CO2 is thrown out like this. So, the main characters of this phylum are water canal system or transport system, spongocoel is their cavity, and choanocytes or flagellated collared cells, it is like this, and they have a flagella. Inside this cell, internal fertilization takes place. Digestion is intracellular inside this cell. Very, very, very important. They show internal fertilization. They mostly reproduce by asexual reproduction, by fragmentation. But in adverse conditions, they form internal buds called gemmules. Archeocytes are their totipotent cells, which may differentiate into sperm or ova. Internal fertilization, indirect development. They have parenchyma and amphiblastula as their larval stages. Now, they have been classified on the basis of their exoskeleton, which can be made up of calcium carbonate spicules, silica spicules or spongin fibers. Now, out of these, this is Sycon or Scypha, the simplest type of Porifera, and it has calcium carbonate spicules. This is Spongilla, freshwater Porifera. And this is bath sponge or Euspongia. This has spongin fibers as its exoskeleton. Now, questions comes on these parts. What is left when bath sponge dries up? If the bath sponge dries, it is the exoskeleton that remains, and it is made up of spongin fibers. This is how you solve the question. Now, students, I have not taken many questions in this class because I did not want it to waste your time. In the coming chapters, we will be dealing questions related to those tough topics. Here, you can refer to the Concept Booster course. There we have solved a lot of MCQs and lot of assertion reason questions. Now, this is a diagram of NCERT from next phylum, which is Coelenterata. Now, the main characters. Students, Coelenterata are also mostly marine. They are found in two forms. This is the free floating form. This is Aurelia or jellyfish, free floating form. This exists. This is called Medusa, the free floating form. It is umbrella shaped, whereas this is a fixed form. It's called polyp, like Hydra. This particular diagram is of Adamsia or sea anemone. Very, very important. They have a cylindrical body. Now, both have a coelentron, a gastrovascular cavity, which has a mouth, hypostome, and they have tentacles. Why they are called Cnidaria? The chief character is they have cnidoblast cells, which are sting cells, and in them they have a capsule which has sting, zehar, poison inside it. It's called nematocyst. So with these cnidoblast, they are present on the body and on the tentacles. It is used for offense, defense, for killing the enemy, for saving themselves, all this. Alright, very, very, very important. And in coelenterate, one more question is very important, that they show alternation of generation. Particularly Obelia is the example where one generation is polyp, reproduces asexually by budding and forms the next generation, that is medusae, and then it reproduces sexually and forms the next generation again as polyp. So polyp medusae like this. Alternation of generation, also called metagenesis, seen in Obelia particularly. And some of the polyp forms also have CaCO3 exoskeleton, which are called corals. Anyways, so this is the diagram of cnidoblast. I will be discussing in very short. This is nematocyst, where sting is present, that poison is present. It's a neurotoxin. Now, this is next the diagram of ctenophora. It is the diagram of one of the ctenophora, which is pleurobrachia. This is the diagram of pleurobrachia. Now, we have discussed that porifera and coelenterate are mostly marine, but these are exclusively marine. One. Second, they show bioluminescence, that is, they can emit light when dark. They are very beautiful. They are also called sea walnuts or comb jellies. Now, the characteristic feature here is that they have 8 comb plates on their surface, and these combs, the bristles of the combs, are actually the cilia, which helps them in locomotion, which is swimming in their case. Now, porifera and coelenterata both show internal fertilization, but this shows external fertilization. Porifera, coelenterata show indirect development, that is, they have larval stages. They also show indirect development. They have larval stages like cydipid larva. But porifera and coelenterata reproduce both sexually as well as asexually, but they reproduce only sexually. Alright, these are most important questions. And they may have tentacles or they may not have tentacles. The main difference is that they are diploblastic like coelenterates, they have gastrovascular cavity like coelenterates, they may have tentacles like coelenterates, they show intra and extracellular digestion like coelenterates, but they do not have cnidoblast. Instead, they have these 8 comb plates as their main unique feature. So, it's a minor phylum, about 100 species are included. Now, this is the next phylum. This is Platyhelminthes or flatworms. Their body is dorso-ventrally flattened. Most important, most of them are endoparasites. They have hooks and suckers for attachment. They generally absorb food through the general body surface area from the host. They are acoelomates. They have blind sac body plan. They have organ level of organization. They may be free living like Turbinalia, Planaria or Dugacia, which has high power of regeneration, but most of them are endoparasites. They can be flukes or they can be tapeworms. So, this is Fasciola hepatica, which is liver fluke. This is causing liver rot disease in sheep. And this is Taenia solium, a tapeworm. They show pseudo segmentation. Alright, most of them are bisexual except schistosoma or blood fluke, which is unisexual. And they also show internal fertilization, indirect development, many larval stages. Now, this is the diagram of next phylum, that is roundworms or Aschelminthes. This is the diagram of Ascaris. Now, they are mostly unisexual and male and female can be differentiated by just looking at them. So, they show sexual dimorphism. This is male, this is female. Female is longer and its posterior end is curved. Very, very important. Now, roundworms are also, they can be free living or, what should I say, parasitic. They are mostly parasitic. Flatworms have flame cells as their excretory organs. They have solenocytes, rennet cells as their excretory organ, and they, from here, organ system level started, from here tube within tube body plan started, and they have, only longitudinal muscles in their body. Most important point is that this is the only phylum in which all the stages, they never have any cilia or flagella. Even the sperms move by pseudopodia. Alright, very, very important. Mostly unisexual. They also show both internal, external segment, type of fertilization. They may have indirect or direct development. Now, this is the next, that is Annelida. Now, Annelida, the most important unique character is that they have both external as well as internal segmentation, because annulus means rings. Typical examples, first they have circular as well as longitudinal body muscles. They excrete out by nephridia, and respiration is through general body surface, moist skin. And students from here, closed circulatory system started, except leech, which has open circulatory system. This is Hirudinaria leech. This is Nereis. Most of them are bisexual except Nereis. Most of them show direct development except Nereis, which shows indirect development, Rocophore larva. And they reproduce sexually, and they have different locomotory organelles depending upon their habitat. Like Nereis, this lives in aquatic medium. So they have parapodia. These are parapodia, leaf-like structures for locomotion. Hirudinaria leech, they are blood-sucking, they are parasites, they have hooks and suckers, not hooks, suckers for attachment, locomotion. Whereas the third class of this phylum, which is terrestrial oligochaeta, where earthworm is included, they have CT, S-shaped chitinous locomotory structures. Alright, and fertilization is external. So up till now, in Ctenophora and then in Annelida, we have studied external fertilization. All others have internal fertilization only. I'm sorry, I just said that Aschelminthes have both external, internal. No, they all have internal except Ctenophora and Annelida till now. All have indirect development except Annelida, which have direct. One exception is Nereis. And Aschelminthes can have both direct and indirect. These are very, very important points. Now, this is Arthropoda, the largest phylum. 2/3 animals belong to this phylum. They have chitinous exoskeleton, which is responsible for this evolutionary success. And artho means joints, poda means legs. They have jointed legs, jointed appendages, and chitinous exoskeleton. Now, this largest phylum is divided into many classes. We have discussed in detail. Three most important ones are Crustacea, Arachnida, and Insecta. They have different respiratory organ, different excretory organ. Insecta is the largest class out of all the classes of Arthropoda. They have tracheal tubes as respiratory organ, Malpighian tubules as excretory organ. All arthropods have open type of circulatory system where the blood is colorless. It's called hemolymph. They also have some sensory organs like statocysts, like compound eyes, like tentacles, etc. Now, in this particular diagram, this is locust, which is a gregarious pest. They are all, this is insect, it belongs to Insecta. Insecta means they will have 3 pair of legs, hexapoda, and 1 pair tentacles. Then, this is a butterfly, of course, and butterfly means this also belongs to Insecta. This is also Insecta. And this is Scorpio. This belongs to Arachnida class. In this, Scorpio comes and spider comes. They do not have any tentacles and they have 4 pair of legs. And Scorpio is the only, is one of the arthropoda which is viviparous. It gives birth to young ones. And this is prawn. It belongs to Crustacea. They have 5 or more pair of legs and 2 pair of antennae, mostly aquatic. Alright. You should also know that Limulus, the king crab, is a living fossil, and Bombyx mori, which is a silkworm, honeybee, which is Apis indica, and Lacca insecta, that is Laccifer lacca, which is lac insect, they are economically important. And they have a lot of vectors also, the mosquitoes like Anopheles mosquito, Culex mosquito, which acts as vectors for disease. Largest phylum. Now, which one of the following feature is common in silverfish, scorpio, dragonfly, and prawn? This is how question comes. Silverfish is an insecta, arthropoda, which does not undergo metamorphosis. Ametaboly is seen. Scorpio is arachnida. This is insecta. Dragonfly is again insecta, all flies, mosquitoes. And prawn is crustacea. You have to find out a common feature. They all belong to phylum Arthropoda. Let's see. 3 pair of legs and segmented body. Students, 3 pair will be found only in this. They have 4 pair, they have 5 or more. So this is not common. Chitinous exoskeleton, cuticle, yes, they all will have, but not 2 pair antenna. This is found only in Crustacea. Insecta have 1 pair and Arachnida do not have. So this is not the answer. Jointed appendages all will have, all belong to Arthropoda. Chitinous exoskeleton all will have. If you talk about this, tracheae not all will have. Tracheae is the respiratory organ only in Insecta. Arachnida will have, book gills or book lungs, and Crustacea will have branchial gills. So this is also not found in all. If you talk about cephalothorax, actually in Arthropoda, the body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen. But in Crustacea, they have cephalothorax and abdomen. The head and thorax part is fused. So this is also not a common feature. Alright. So here the answer is option C, that is they all have jointed appendages and chitinous cuticle or exoskeleton. Now this is the next phylum, which is Mollusca. This is the second largest phylum. They are mostly soft bodied. Their body is divided into 3 parts. They have a head, then a muscular foot and a visceral hump in which all the organs are present. Now this visceral hump is surrounded by a layer of spongy skin layer. This is called mantle layer, and this is the unique character of this phylum. Now the space between visceral hump and mantle is mantle cavity. Here they have osphradium, which is a chemoreceptor kind of a sensitive organ, and they have ctenidium gills which help in excretion as well as respiration. Now they will have eyes and tentacles, all this. Now mostly their body is covered by a calcareous calcium carbonate shell, and this shell is secreted by mantle. All these are direct questions. Now students, we have classified mollusca into many, they are mostly oviparous, into many classes. Most important class is Cephalopoda class, because it is very advanced class. In this there are octopus, loligo, squids, all these are present. This is octopus. It's also called devil fish. You should be able to identify the diagram. And they have closed circulatory system, whereas all the other mollusks have open circulatory system. For respiration they have ctenidium gills, for excretion they have Keber's organ and organs of Bojanus. And they also have sensory structures like osphradium, etc. Now this is Pila or apple snail. This belongs to Gastropoda class. This is Cephalopoda class. Gastropoda is the largest class of mollusca, and mollusca is the second largest phylum of animal kingdom. Now in Gastropoda class they have a unique phenomenon called torsion phenomenon. This is very, very important. They are asymmetrical, alright, and they are oviparous, internal fertilization and indirect development. Trochophore larva is there. Now this is the next phylum, that is Echinodermata. From here deuterostome start, from here enterotype of true coelom started. Now Echinodermata means echino and derma means skin. Echino means spiny. They have spiny skin because they have endoskeleton which is bony like. Most important point is that their larva is bilaterally symmetrical, but adults become radially symmetrical. Very, very important. And they do not have any special excretory system, and most of their capturing of food, transport of food, that is the circulatory system work, their respiration part, exchange of gases, their locomotion, all this is done by their unique character, which is water vascular system. Porifera have water canal system, they have water vascular system or ambulacral system. Very, very important. This helps in capture, transport of food, exchange of gases, locomotion, etc. Alright, now we have seen external fertilization up till now in Ctenophora, in Annelida, and now in Echinodermata hemichordata. These 4 have external fertilization, all have others internal. And this also has many larval stages. Now how is this system? This is Asterias or starfish, and this is Ophiura or brittle star. The common names, very, very important, you must know. Now this is not NCERT diagram. Here I am just trying to tell you that since they become flattened, So suppose this is the front part, this is the back part, and now they are like this. So the dorsal surface is upward and the ventral surface, belly part, is downwards. We have mouth ventral side and anus dorsal side. So in them the anus is on dorsal upper surface and mouth is ventral on lower surface. This is what is most important. Now if you look from outside, like this is, you are viewing from the top. So this is the anus and these are the spines. They have spiny endoskeleton, bony endoskeleton. So on the dorsal sulfate there is a pore which is called madreporite. Through this water enters into this system. And if you see from down, you will see a mouth and you will see many grooves, I will tell you how, and you will see tube feeds coming out from the downside. This helps in locomotion, rest, exchange of gases, etc. How? This is the system. Now, suppose if this is a starfish, this is the anus and madreporite is here, here there is mouth and tube feet are down, you cut it like this. So what do you see inside? You see a network of canals. This madreporite here is connected to a canal which is called stone canal. So this madreporite is connected to this stone canal. Now this stone canal divides into 5, see these 5 ring canals because it has 5 arms. So it divides into ring canals. Now this ring canal divides into 5 arms. Arms means 5 radial canals. Like this, and now these 5 radial canals, they will be dividing into lateral canals, like these are the lateral canals. This is a radial canal, this is the ring canal, right? So madreporite is connected to stone canal which divides into ring canal. Each ring, like ring canal, divides into 5 radial canals. Radial canals divides into many lateral canals, and lateral canal ends into this structure. This is tube feet. The swollen part is ampulla. So what happens when the water goes inside? It creates a pressure here. How? I have explained in perfect theory. A vacuum is created. With that, they make a grip ahead. Then the next tube feet relaxes. It comes up and then it forms a grip, and like this they move on. And from the tube feed, exchange of gases, capture of food, all this also happens through this water vascular system, which is a unique character. And they do not have any excretory system. This is also an important question. And they are unisexual, of course. Now, this is the next, that is hemichordata, the last non-chordata phylum. Balanoglossus, Saccoglossus are the examples. Their body is divided into a proboscis, this anterior, then a neck or a collar, and this entire is the trunk. They respire by gills, they have open type of circulatory system, they are fossorial, they are exclusively marine, even echinoderms are exclusively marine, they live in the sea bottom, and they are deuterostomes, they have complete alimentary canal, they have true coelom, enterocoelom type. Now, and they excrete by proboscis gland, they have here which is their excretory organ, the proboscis gland. They are unisexual, they show external fertilization, just like echinoderms. They have tornaria, larval stage also, so indirect development. Now, most important, why they are called hemichordates? Earlier they were classified into chordates because they show false notochord-like structure. But it is not mesodermal, it is endodermal. So that is why, students, it is not having notochord. It is 100% non-chordata, and now it is called hemichordata. Alright. So this is the diagram. This is not from NCERT. The earlier one was from NCERT. So they have proboscis, collar. This is the whole trunk. They have branchial gills and they have this anus. Alright. Now, an important characteristic that hemichordates share with chordate is ventral tubular nerve cord. Students, all non-chordates have ventral, double and solid nerve cord. Whereas chordates have dorsal, single and hollow nerve cord. So this is not a character that they share. Pharynx with gill slits, yes, because all chordates also have gill slits, either only in embryonic life or later on also, but they have gill slits. So this is the character. Absence of notochord, this is not the character they share with chordates, because chordates have notochord, they do not have. So the answer is option B. Alright. Now, let's come to the last, the final 11th phyla, that is chordates. Now in chordata phylum, all the chordates will share three characters always. Number one, they will have a notochord, which is mesodermally derived structure. It may get converted into vertebral column or it may not, but it is always present. Number two, they always have pharyngeal gill slits, at least in embryonic life, and they always have post-anal tail, at least in embryonic life. Apart from this, they have closed circulatory system, and they also have a ventral heart, and their hemoglobin is present inside the RBCs. They have RBCs. But anyways, this is what is most important. Now, when you talk about Chordata phylum, it is divided into three subphylums, that is Urochordata or Tunicata, then Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Now, Uro means tail. Students, these animals, these chordates, they have a notochord, but that is present only in the tail of larva. In adults, it regresses. It is called retrogressive metamorphosis. They have a sugar, tunicin coating around their body, so they are also called tunicata. They are exclusively marine, and their notochord is never converted into vertebral column. In this, the examples are Ascidia, Salpa, Doliolum, etc. Whereas in cephalochordates, they have notochord, so they are chordata, and their notochord is present in larval as well as adult life from head to toe. So, cephalochordates. These two, the notochord never gets converted into vertebral column, so they can also be called non-vertebrates. They are chordates but non-vertebrates. They do not have a brain box, so they are also acraniata. They both are exclusively marine. Cephalochordate example is Amphioxus or Branchiostoma or Lancelet. Three names for a single animal. Now, vertebrata, they will have a brain box, so they are called craniata, and they have a vertebral column. That means notochord gets converted into vertebral column, maybe cartilaginous or bony, but always gets converted. So, they are called vertebrata. Now, these three are the subphylums. Now, this particular subphylum, these together are called non-vertebrates, acraniates or protochordates. They are primitive chordates. Now, this craniata is divided into two divisions. If their jaws are supported by, the mouth is supported by jaws, they have jaws, then it is called gnathostomata, and if their mouth does not have jaws, then they are agnatha. This agnatha division, jawless division, includes one living class called cyclostomata. So, you must know which is a class, which is a division, which is subphylum, very, very important. Now, in this cyclostomata class, agnatha, they are like false fishes. They do not have scales, they do not have paired fins for locomotion, they have unpaired fins, and they do respire by gills. They have 6 to 15 pair of gills. They are mostly ectoparasites on true fishes. They have a round, open, circular mouth, not supported by jaws, so it's always open. And lamprey, which is petromyzon, and mixin or hagfish are the typical examples of this class. Alright, so this is the diagram of Ascidia. You should be able to identify it. It is a Urochordata or Tunicata. Alright. Now, this is Petromyzon. Petromyzon means it's a jawless vertebrate. Clear? Petromyzon or lamprey. It lives in the sea water, but it goes to fresh water for laying eggs. That is this egg laying, spawning. And this kind of migration from sea water to fresh water is called anadromous migration. They will go from sea to fresh water. They will lay their eggs. The gametes, they will have fertilization outside the body, and then the larva is able to survive there for some time, and then it comes back to the sea. The adults die in the fresh water, right? So, this is Petromyzon or lamprey. Now, this is also NCERT diagram. This is hagfish and this is lamprey. Both are cyclostomata class examples, agnatha, jawless fishes. See, they have these gill openings. Basically, they have 6 to 15 pair of gills. Here they have 12 pairs. This has 7 pairs. And this is how they look. You should be able to identify them and know their characters. They have a cartilaginous vertebral column, and remnants of vertebral column is seen throughout, remnants of notochord is seen throughout life. Now, then in Gnathostomata division, one division is agnatha and this is Gnathostomata. Now, this is divided into two super classes. One is Pisces, the true fishes. They have paired fins for locomotion, gills for respiration, and scales on their body. All aquatic. Whereas the other superclass is Tetrapoda. They have two pair of limbs for locomotion, and they have heart, either 3-chambered or 4-chambered heart. They have 2-chambered heart, the fishes, and they respire by lungs. Although frog, tadpole, amphibian tadpole respires by gills, but they mainly respire by lungs, the adult form, and Reptilia, birds and aves. So please note that Pisces and Tetrapoda are superclass. And then this Tetrapoda is divided into 4 classes, that is Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, that is birds, and Mammalia. These are the classes. And Pisces is divided into 2 classes, that is if they are bony fishes, osteichthyes, and if they are cartilaginous fishes, chondrichthyes. Here they have given 2 cartilaginous fishes. Please note, cartilaginous fishes have a ventral mouth, number 1. They have sharp teeth like placoid scales. They are carnivorous. They are exclusively marine. They do not have swim bladder. They have to continuously swim, otherwise they will be sunk down. And they have about 5 to 7 pair of gill slits, no operculum. They have cloaca. They show internal fertilization. They they are mostly viviparous. The typical examples are, this is Scoliodon, the dogfish. This is Pristis, sawfish. And also in this there are 2 examples, Torpedo, which is electric ray, and Trigon, which is stingray. Very, very important. And of course Carcharodon, the great white shark. So basically the sharks, sawfish, electric ray, and stingray come into this. Now, these are the examples of bony fishes or osteichthyes. They are not exclusively found in any particular type of water. They can be marine also, and they can be freshwater also. All the aquarium fishes are bony fishes. They have a central mouth, terminal mouth. They have 4 pair of gills covered by operculum. They have cycloid, ctenoid type of scales. They have swim bladder, so they can float for some time even without swimming. They do not have cloaca. They have external fertilization. They are mostly oviparous. Alright. Here they have given 2 examples. One is Hippocampus. This is seahorse. This is a marine bony fish, whereas this is Catla, an edible bony fish. This is a freshwater fish, right, which the fisherman catches from the freshwater and then edible. Catla, Rohu, Magur. The names of aquarium fishes is also very, very important, like Betta, which is the fighting fish, Anguilla, which is eel, then we have Pterophyllum, angelfish, etc. Now, this is Amphibia, the class of superclass Tetrapoda. Now, these are the various amphibians. They can live on land as well as in water, but they need water for their external fertilization. Their skin is very moist. They have a lot of mucus glands, very, very important. Their ear is represented only by, tympanum. They do not have external ear. And most important, students, they respire by 3 means. They can undergo summer sleep, winter sleep. How do they respire? They respire either mostly by moist skin. By this they can respire in water, on land, in hibernation, in estivation. All the time they can respire by moist skin. Second most important, they have buccopharyngeal epithelium through which they respire, and then they have lungs, but only adults have lungs. Like if you talk about the larva of frog, that is tadpole, it respires by gills and moist skin, like this. Alright, they have a cloaca, they show external fertilization, and they are oviparous. They will lay eggs which are unfertilized eggs. Very, very important. They do not have ribs, they do not have diaphragm, so they show positive pressure ventilation. I will explain this in detail in breathing and exchange of gases. For now, just remember that what happens in our case, we have ribs, we have diaphragm, we have intercostal muscles. So we increase the volume of lungs, we reduce the pressure, and we suck the air from atmosphere. This is negative pressure. We are creating a suction pull. But what happens in frog? They don't have ribs, intercostal muscles, diaphragm. They can't create this suction pull. So what do? They take in the air, then they close the mouth and nostrils, and then they elevate the mouth cavity. So now the mouth cavity volume decreases, pressure increases, but where to go? Because mouth and nostril is closed. So it is pushed into the lung. Lung is not pulling it, air is getting pushed. This is positive pressure ventilation. Alright, very, very important. But anyways, if you see the diagrams, we have divided this amphibia class into 3 orders. First is Apoda. Apoda means limbless amphibians. The typical example is Gymnophiona or Ichthyophis, which have some scales also. Otherwise, amphibians are scaleless, very, very important. The second is those which are limbed, but their limbs are equal sized. They have equal sized 2 pair of limbs, like salamander, called salamandra. They are tailed also. They have a tail. You can see in this diagram, they have a tail. They are mostly aquatic. And the third is where the limbs are unequal sized and they don't have tail. Tail is absent. Like Rana tigrina, common frog, you can see there is no tail. Hyla, tree frog, no tail. Toad, bufo, common midwife toad, no tail. Students, these all belong to this order. Unequal limb size, the hind limbs are stronger and longer, and they don't have neck, they don't have tail. This is because they have to, jump and leap. That helps in them. All right, very, very important. And they have 3-chambered heart. Fishes have 2-chambered heart, venous heart. Now, this is again NCERT diagram. You can see here, this is tailed having limbs. So this is salamander, and this is limbs unequal size, no tail. This is Rana tigrina, common frog. Now, the next class is Reptilia. Reptilia means they are creeping or crawling animals. They have a dry cornified skin with epidermal scales, and they respire only by lungs. They have 3-chambered heart except Crocodilia, which have 4-chambered heart. So their ear is just like amphibians. It is represented by tympanum. No external ear is there, but they have ribs. All right, they have ribs. They don't have diaphragm, but they have ribs. And snakes and lizards, they also shed off their outcastings and skin. The poisonous snakes are Naja, which is cobra, Bengaris, viper, krait. All these are poisonous snakes, and they have cloaca. They show internal fertilization, and they lay fertilized eggs, clidoic eggs, shelled eggs. Very, very important. They are oviparous, but they lay shelled eggs. So this you can see is chameleon. Chameleon means it is it's called tree lizard, which is girgit. This is crocodilus. Crocodilus means crocodile, 4-chambered heart, double circulation. This is chilon or turtle. Testudo is tortoise. This is turtle, and this is naja. That means cobra, a poisonous snake. All right. So these are all examples of reptiles. Now the next class of tetrapoda superclass is aves, the birds. Birds, modern day living birds, they can be flying or flightless. Flightless birds, if you talk of all the birds, this ostrich, Struthio ostrich is the largest. Its egg is also the largest, but it is flightless. Kiwi, rhea, penguin, ostrich, these are flightless birds. Right now, the other 3 are flying birds, like this is vulture, neophron, this is psittacula, parrot, and this is pavo, peacock, our national bird. Now in birds, what is most important is that they do not have scales except some at the hind limbs. They do not have oil glands. I mean, they do not have any skin glands. Their skin is dry except some oil glands, preen glands at the base of their beak. Now birds, all the modifications are for flying. So their jaws are modified into beak or bill. Their forelimbs are modified into wings. Very, very important questions. Now their skeleton is fully bony, and bones are pneumatic, air-filled hollow bones. Very, very important. They have a keel, they have furcula, they have synsacrum. We have discussed all this in animal kingdom in the theory courses. You can refer there once. And they have crop and gizzard because they are flying. So in the crop they are going to store the grains, and in the gizzard they are going to grind it because they don't have tooth, students. They don't have teeth. They are all modern day living. All birds are toothless birds. Very, very important because this also adds to their weight. Tooth is a bony structure, hard structure. And they have just one ovary, the female ones. They also show internal fertilization like reptiles. They also have cloaca like reptiles. They also lay eggs like reptiles. They are fertilized eggs like reptiles, shelled eggs. Now, so the eggs of reptiles as well as birds have a lot of yolk. They are megalecithal eggs. All right, so these are the most important characters about birds. Now students, fishes, reptile, birds. they all are viviparous mostly, although bony fishes are oviparous. Amphibians are totally oviparous, all right. And sorry, I'm so sorry. Fishes, amphibians, birds and reptiles, they all are oviparous except cartilaginous fishes which are viviparous. I was talking about fertilization. Amphibians show external fertilization, reptile birds show internal fertilization, all right. So, identify the vertebrate group of animals characterized by crop and gizzard in its digestive system. And we know birds have these, crop and gizzard, right. So, on any one of the character they can ask you the question. Scales are absent only in amphibians. Fishes have scales, dermal scales. Reptiles have epidermal, lot of scales. Birds have some epidermal scales on their hind limbs. But amphibians are totally scaleless except ichthyophis or gymnophiona, which is limbless amphibians, alright. Amphibian skin is very, very moist, lot of cutaneous mucus glands because they have to respire by skin. Whereas bird skin is dry except oil preen glands. Reptile skin is totally dry, cornified. So like this the question comes. Now, the most developed, the most evolved class of superclass Tetrapoda is class Mammalia. Now, most important character, why they are called Mammalia, the most unique character is the presence of mammary glands. This is a class Mammalia, alright. They have mammary glands. Of course, they have diaphragm, they have corpus callosum separating the two cerebral hemispheres. This is all mammalian characters. They have heterodont, different type of teeth, and thecodont teeth, tightly embedded in the jaw socket. Whereas if you see fishes or amphibians, they have same type of homodont type of teeth, and the teeth are very loosely attached. Even reptiles, their teeth are, not firmly attached. They are also glued onto the jaw surface. Birds don't have teeth. So we have heterodont, thecodont condition. We have diaphragm. We have 7 cervical vertebrae. All these are unique characters of mammals. But the most unique character is the presence of mammary glands to nourish the young ones. Now, this class Mammalia is divided into 3. That is, one is the oviparous mammals which lay eggs. The ovoviviparous mammals, they give birth to immature young ones. They are pouched mammals, marsupials. And we have true placental mammals. Here, the complete growth of the baby happens inside the mother's uterus because they have placenta for nutrition. So, they give birth to mature young ones, viviparous. In oviparous, there are 2 typical examples. One is this duck-billed platypus or Ornithorhynchus, and we have spiny anteater or echidna. These are oviparous, although they have mammary glands, but they don't have nipples. They have cloaca like reptiles, although mammals don't have cloaca. So they are having some characters of reptiles and some mammals, although they have mammary glands, so they are included in mammals. So they are a connecting link between reptiles and mammals. Very, very important. They are found only in Australia now, right? Now, marsupials or pouched mammals like this Macropus, this is kangaroo. Here the mother has a marsupial pouch on its belly. Immature young one is given birth. It remains in that pouch, matures and then goes out. So marsupials, Macropus kangaroo is the example. They have 2 uterus, they have 2 vagina, and in them the penis is behind the scrotum. Whereas in true mammals, they have 1 uterus, 1 vagina, and penis is in front of the scrotum. They have true placenta. In this, all the carnivorous, herbivorous, all mammals are included. We are also included in this. They may be in aquatic medium like whale, blue whale, this blue whale, Balanoptera. This is the largest living animal also. They have flying mammals like this bat, Pteropus. This is a flying mammal, right? So, flying mammal, Pteropus, blue whale, aquatic mammal. This is marsupial mammal, and this is oviparous, prototherian mammal. So, like this, mammals now dominate everywhere on land, water, air, everywhere we have the mammals. Very, very important. And yes, of course, our skin is also moist. We have sweat glands, sebaceous glands, all those glands on our skin, and our whole skin is covered with hair. This is also one character, right? So, now if we come to the, chart from NCERT, let's solve all the points quickly. And of course, cold-blooded are amphibians and fishes, amphibians, reptiles. These are cold-blooded, poikilothermic, cannot regulate their body temperature according to environment. Whereas birds and mammals are homeothermic or warm-blooded. amniota, do not have amnion membrane. That is fishes and amphibians, whereas reptile, birds and mammals have amnion around their membrane for protection, for providing, for preventing desiccation. They are called amniota. Now see, this chart is really important. These are all the 11 phylums. This has tissue level, cellular level. Then Coelenterata and Ctenophora have tissue level. Platyhelminthes have organ level. From Aschelminthes to Chordata, organ system level. If you see the symmetry, this is mostly asymmetrical. These are radial. Actually, this is biradial. And from here, bilateral starts. From here, organ system. From here, bilateral, except adult echinoderms. Students, if they ask you, larva of echinoderm is bilateral symmetrical, adult of echinoderm radial, but if they don't specify adult or larva, we always consider they are talking about adult. So then the answer will be radial only. Alright. Now, if you see the coelom, there is no question of coelom here. Coelom starts from, the question of coelom starts from where the mesoderm is present. From here it is triploblastic. These two are diploblastic. Alright. Now, platyhelminthes do not have coelom. Coelom is absent, so they are acoelomates. This is pseudocoelomates. From here, they all are true coelomates. Out of these three are schizocoelomate, and these three are enterocoelomates, also deuterostomata. Right? Now, if you talk about segmentation both internal, external in Annelida, only external in Arthropoda, only internal in Chordata. Everywhere else it is absent. Platyhelminthes are known to have false segmentation, so we cannot write that it is present, it is false. Now, digestive system, if you see, tissue and organ level, they have blind sac body plan, so they have incomplete digestive system, single opening to outside acting as both mouth and anus. But you see from here, roundworms, complete alimentary canal starts, tube within tube system starts from here. Now, if you talk about circulatory system, it starts from Annelida, so up till here it is all absent. In Annelida, they have closed circulatory system except leeches which have open. All arthropods have open. Most mollusks have open except cephalopoda, octopus and all. They have closed. Echinoderms, they don't have open or closed. It's mainly the water vascular system which takes care. Hemichordata have open and all chordates have closed. Here also, all annelids have closed except leech. Alright, now, if you talk about respiratory system, it also starts from Annelida. It does not mean they don't show respiration, but they show through the general body surface, exchange of O2, CO2. Annelids here have, moist skin. Arthropods, we have discussed the various respiratory organ in different class. Mollusca, they have ctenidium gills, and mantle also helps. Echinoderms, through that water vascular system, tube feet. Hemichordata have gills, and chordates we have discussed. Mainly it's the gills and the lungs. Now, if you talk about the distinctive features, Porifera means they have a body with multiple pores. Cnidaria means they have cnidoblast. Ctenophora have comb plates. Platyhelminthes have flat body suckers. Roundworms have worm-like body, round in circumference. Rings are found, both true and internal and external segmentation in Annelida. In Arthropoda, jointed appendages and chitinous exoskeleton. In Mollusca, they have soft body covered by calcareous shell usually. In Echinodermata, they have bony endoskeleton and water vascular system and radial symmetry in adults. In Hemichordata, they have worm-like body divided into proboscis, collar and trunk. And in Chordata, they have a notochord, a dorsal hollow single nerve cord, gill slits, and they have limbs or fins for their locomotion. And if you talk about excretory organs now, let's come here. This is, I have given all the excretory organs. It starts from Platyhelminthes. They have flame cells or Proteronephridia type. Aschelminthes have rennet cells. They are also Protonephridia type. Although in some Aschelminthes rotifers, they still have flame cells. Very, very important. Annelida have nephridia, which is metanephridia type, but some annelids have Protonephridia. Arthropoda, we have discussed. Crustacea have green glands, arachnids have coxal glands, insecta class like cockroach have Malpighian tubules. Mollusca have Keber's organ of Bojanus. Echinoderms, excretory system is absent, water vascular system helps. Hemichordata have proboscis gland, and cephalochordates, very, very important, like amphioxus, although they are chordates, but they excrete by protonephridia, flame cell solenocytes. Whereas all the vertebrates, whether they are fishes, amphibians, reptile, birds, mammals, cyclostomata class, they all have kidneys for their excretion. Alright. Now, this is in tabulated form I have given. Now, let's go back. These are some of the connecting links. Very, very important. You can just have a look at this table and then we will solve few more questions on this chapter. So students, this connecting link chart I have already given you because these are direct questions that comes. They may ask you connecting link between this and this is, or they may ask you like balanoglossus is a connecting link between, both ways. And these are some of the false fishes. This also creates a little confusion, so I have given this in a chart form. Like jellyfish, it is not a fish, it is a coelenterate, Aurelia, a medusa, free floating form. Crayfish, Astacus, is an arthropod. Silverfish, Lepisma, is an arthropod which does not show any metamorphosis. Cuttlefish is Sepia, mollusca, it belongs to Cephalopoda class, to which octopus also belongs. Octopus is devilfish, again mollusca. Starfish is Asteria, Echinodermata, not a true fish. Hagfish is Mixin, which is Agnatha, jawless, Cyclostomata, and not a true fish. Alright, so these three charts are very, very important. Let's try to solve 2-3 questions. Remaining ones we have solved a lot in concept booster course. Let's see. Now you have to match. We'll go by the options. Adamsia is what? C. anemone. C. anemone means it is coelenterata. It is radially symmetrical, yes, but it is not porifera, it is coelenterata. This cannot be the answer. Petromyzon is an ectoparasite, yes, and it belongs to Cyclostomata, yes. If you are confident about your theory, your question is solved. But let's check. Ichthyophis is terrestrial reptilia. No students, it's an amphibian. It is an amphibian with scales. It is limbless amphibian. It lives in water. Now, Limulus is covered by exoskeleton. Yes, because it is arthropod and not Pisces. It is the king crab, a living fossil, Arthropoda phylum. So, the only correct match is option number B. Now, which of the following characteristic feature holds always true? Nowadays, students, they are asking lot of questions where they may give you 4 options belonging to different phylum and class. So, you know, like this, they test your knowledge. Always holds true. Cartilaginous endoskeleton is found in Chondrichthysius. All cartilaginous fishes will always have cartilaginous endoskeleton without any exception. This always holds true. Let's check the other options. Mammals are always viviparous. No, we have oviparous mammals, Echidna, Platypus. We have marsupial pouch mammals. So this is true but not always true. Possess a mouth with a upper and lower jaw chordates. No, not all chordates. In chordates, we have Agnatha class where there is no jaw like Cyclostomata. So this is not always true. Although fishes, the Gnathostomata, the fishes, amphibians, reptile, birds, mammals, they have jaws but not always. Cyclostomes don't have. One incompletely divided ventricle, that means 3-chambered heart, is found in reptilia, not always. Crocodile is an example. They have a completely divided ventricle. So they have 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricle. Whereas in all other reptiles, they have 2 atria and single ventricle with an incomplete division. So it is still single. So yes, there is an exception. So always holds true is option A. Let's see one more. Like this also questions are asked, which group of animal belongs to same phylum? Nowadays they are giving lot of such. They will give you which of the following has collar cells, for example. And they will give you 4 options with 2, 3 examples. So you have to find out which one belongs to Porifera. Which option has all the animals belonging to Porifera, that will be the answer, like this. So in such you have to write on paper, like sponge is Porifera, but what about amoeba? Amoeba is a protozoa, so no, they are not from same phylum. You don't have to read the third option. It is actually mosquito, Arthropoda phylum. But you don't have to see it in exam, just cancel. Move to the next option. Malarial parasite is what? Plasmodium, and Plasmodium is what? Protozoa. Amoeba is also protozoa. But mosquito, no, mosquito is Arthropoda. This cannot be the answer. Now earthworm is Annelida. Pinworm or seatworm is a round worm, Aschelminthes, so they don't belong. This cannot be the answer. Don't even look at the third one. Actually, it is tapeworm, and tapeworms are what? Platyhelminthes. So even this cannot be correct. But you don't have to see. Answer has to be D. Let's check. Prawn, Arthropoda, Crustacea class. Scorpio, Arthropoda, Arachnida class. Locusta, Arthropoda, Insecta class. Classes are different, but phylum is same. All belongs to Arthropoda phylum. Alright. So like this, the question comes. So I just hope that this course is going to help you out in the coming chapters, where there will be topics of great understanding. We will be discussing them, and with each difficult topic we will be taking few questions based on that topic, so that its application also becomes clear in your mind. So hope to see you in the next class. Till then, a very happy learning and have a good day. Thank you.